Hi, everybody. This is Marilyn. Do we have any audio for this? Yes. Okay. Thanks. Hello, everybody. This is Marilyn, and it's time for the noon edition of Welcome to My World. This is the 9th of June, and it is a Thursday. And that's about all I've got to say. This market this is just dreadful. It's been in chop all morning, every market across the board with one exception. And the one exception was gold. So, yeah, the word of the day is chop. Chop, chop, chop. My goodness. Very tight range. Doesn't seem to want to break out of anything. Crude oil sold off overnight. And there was a pretty good trade on that. The problem with it is you needed to be up at, 3 o'clock in the morning or 3:30 or something. So that kind of let, I think, most of us out. If you were around this business right in here between this red ice line and the half deviation, once it cleared that, then you did have at least a decent trend down to the big. This is an old big magnet. Once it cleared this current big magnet right here. But to expect this to go on past another huge magnet plus another deviation level after it, the bus drivers had it. He's had to cross a lot of streets here. But this is the beauty in these kind of trends of this deviation indicator. Down here, when it starts building a mountain like this, it'll keep going that direction until the mountain turns around. But not only has it been choppy, there's been very little volume except bonds and gold. Very little activity. So generally what that tells us is that today going into the close might not be a bad time to check and see what's happening, because when it's choppy in the morning like this, in the afternoon it can take a it can give a nice trend. Whether it will or not remains to be seen. We had somebody this morning in the chat room that was asking about rolling contracts, so I thought I'd take a second and remind you about rolling contracts. There is a video and there is a post with a bunch of screenshots in the forum on rolling contracts if you don't know how to do that, because we're going to be rolling a lot of them. But not this week, unless you are a currency, a straight up futures currency. I'm not talking about the pairs, the Forex pairs. I'm talking about the 6E and the 6C and the 6A or whatever it is. If you trade any of those futures, get prepared. Today they still are on their current contract with high volume, but those currency contracts only have about, I think about 4 more days, and the volume will start to be transferring. What that does is it causes a sale in the current month and then a buy-in to the next month, or vice versa, whichever way it's been going. In other words, the big money traders are closing out their positions in order to roll into the next month. So the way you tell if you need to do that is that when you start your Ninja Trader in the morning, you'll get a big sign that comes up. So you have to read that sign before you can even activate your Ninja Trader, and it's telling you the contracts that are rolling. So, and some of those you may be using, to trade with, and some of them may be markets that you don't trade. But Apex always sends you a notification on those. Keep in mind that Nadex tends to roll their contracts earlier by 2-3 days, whatever it is, sometimes more, than the futures contracts roll. So it depends on if you're trading Nadex or futures. The roll dates are not necessarily the same. And let's see. Oh, yes, we had the comedy club here, the comedy corner. I saw this. I just about fell out of my chair. These guys, this is just too good to let go by. 3 Yale grads claim they have a tool. They have perfected this tool to predict the market. And they've got some deal cooking with Twitter. That ought to be, that ought to be good for a pretty good laugh. That's 3 guys that need top hats, 2 mules, and a wagon. It boggles my mind how people think they can predict the market, and they can predict the news numbers, and they can predict geopolitical events, and it's just okay. Well, let us know how that works out for you. Anyway, it just struck me as I just looked at that in total disbelief. So anyway, let's see. Tomorrow we've got some news coming out. The unemployment claims weren't so bad today, but tomorrow morning at 8:30, there's more Canadian news at 8:30, and that is their employment change and their unemployment rate. And at 10 o'clock, the U.S. has consumer and inflation numbers that will come out. So it's kind of a light Friday tomorrow. Next week is going to be a really busy week because we have FOMAC. We'll be rolling our indices contracts. Crude oil rolls next week, and next Friday is the 3rd Friday of the month, so that will be options expiration, and because it is June, then that will be triple witching, because the options on the futures will be expiring, etc., etc. So it creates a big roil in the market. It just the volatility comes back into it, because the big money hedge fund managers and the big mutual fund managers are repositioning money, and then the FOMAC added on top of that. That should create days next week that are not quite like today, when it's watching a lot of paint dry and pretty boring. But anyway, there will be thank you, Tony. Tony says that they're going to post an announcement tomorrow, because those indices are going to roll over the weekend, and that's so much better to roll them on the weekend. I was just looking at the ES, which has got 8 more days on this June contract, and the September contract is active. But here's the difference. The difference is the June contract is trading well over 1 million shares, a million contracts, and the September contract isn't even trading 500,000. So it's a huge, huge, huge difference. And what we try to do is follow the money, the big money. Don't get out here in the desert all by yourself and think you can buy and sell contracts, because it becomes very, very difficult for a small trader. So, and thanks, Greg. The big USDA report is tomorrow also. So if you're trading those the grains on Nadex or even futures, I've started to watch soybeans a little better. I haven't done that for a long time. Anyway, I think that's about it. If you've had a difficult time trying to get your ticks today, I think you're probably not alone. We've had some people that are got 35 and decided that's it, I'm done. That is really a good idea on a day like today. Don't push it. And even if you don't take a trade because you don't see anything you like, the trading police are not going to arrest you for not making a trade every day or whatever. But it might be worth taking a look at this around 2:30 and see if there are any setups that might come along in that timeline up until 4 o'clock.